All right, I've got Eileen Greene on the show today. She is an NLP practitioner, hypnotist, motivational speaker. She has a master's in spiritual psychology. She's raised three boys, and she's still out there doing it at 93 years old. Eileen, welcome to the show.
How do you do? You are a joy and you are doing things for people. So I applaud you too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Man, I am so excited to talk to you because here you are, 93 years old, right?
No, 94.
94. Okay, 94
I'll
years
be
old.
95 in June.
Okay, you're be 95 in June. You're on a mission to empower women to live fearlessly. You're on a just a general mission to empower the world. Like I really feel like to show people what their potential is and that they can live fearlessly no matter what. But I think not, people probably are saying, Eileen, you're 94 years old. Like, who cares? Like, just go enjoy yourself. Why are you so passionate about still doing this work till today and empowering the world?
Because I feel that I'm here because I help people and I listen to my body and I've learned to give it the messages that improve me. Or not only that, but allow me to live with all my otises and itises and all of the stuff. I'm a diabetic. I'm a polio victim. I can go through a list of what I've been through, but that's not who I am now. I am a positive thinker sending messages to my body to give gratitude, to acknowledge, to be there for people that I feel want to be helped.
Eileen, I'm curious, everything you're saying makes complete sense to me. I'm like nodding my head, like, I believe that there's this innate intelligence and the body has that, and that the cells in the body listen to what we're saying on this subconscious level. I completely resonate with that. But I know a lot of people and are probably nodding their head to what you're saying too. Like, of course, the body has its ability to heal itself and be all that it can be. But like, how do we start doing that? Like, what's the first step? How do you start talking to yourself in this way that you're speaking of? Like the body, you're telling me right now, Joel, you can do all these things, but how do people start taking that first step?
Well, I usually give the homework of giving a big piece of paper and in the center drawing a heart. And in the heart, you put I am. And so everything that comes off of the tangents from this heart are positivity. Not I want, I wish, I hope, I think. I am. I give gratitude for what I had and what I still have. I am so thankful for my family. I am so grateful to be at this age and have the ability to coach people because of all my studies. And the gratitude that I have for being the age that I am and still talking and thinking and able to help people.
So it sounds like a first step is just to be grateful and have that gratitude practice that everybody is starting to really come along. That was 10 years ago. I never heard about this, but now it's like almost trendy, or like we hear it a lot now. Start a
Yes.
gratitude practice. Write down three things you're grateful for every morning. And so for you, that'd be this thing you tell everybody to start with, just to remember and tune into that frequency of gratitude, it sounds like.
Well, the difference with me and what you're saying is simply that you put this on paper with tangents and you pin it up someplace. You don't want somebody to see it, you put it in the closet and open the door when you want it. By repeatedly staying in the positive makes a huge difference. Because, as I said before, if you wish or think or want or whatever, that's a big maybe. You haven't singled out what you specifically are grateful for, what you specifically want, what you feel is encouraging you to eat right, to think right, to have the tools to move forward.
Love that. Now, your background, you're an NLP practitioner, a hypnotist, you have a master's in spiritual psychology. I mean, some amazing accomplishments. I'm curious for you, out of all of these modalities and that you've studied, is there one that you gravitate to more, or is there one that you see really help transform your life more than maybe another one?
Yes, being a diabetic is, well, should I say it's a curse? It changes your life. And I have had to give up a lot of my activities. I used to play tennis, I used to this, I used to that, I used to the other. I no longer physically can do that. I've had many challenges with, as I said, the itises and otises and ears, and learning to accept them and have a son who encourages me to play ping pong and encourages me. I do the best I can, and some days are better than others. But I watch my family. You see, I had something that where the two tubes from the two organs that are supposed to join never did. So I have what they call divism. So my pancreas is not supported. And I've lost a lot of people in my family. So, but I have 3 boys, and I have 6 grandchildren, and I have 4 great-grandchildren. That's pretty darn lucky. And I'm living long enough that if I can't go to visit them, we can do what you and I are doing and connect. And Richard and I really should have won some awards a couple of years ago. We did. We volleyed back and forth, and we did, what was it, 1,200 or 1,600 or
1,263.
There he is, 1,263.
Without making a mistake.
That was a continuous volley. Now he's afraid I'm going to fall on the cement. So life changes. But the idea of helping people, I make it so simple. The choice is theirs.
Yeah, you have to want to change in the first place, right? Like, I think is what
Exactly.
so it doesn't matter. You could be giving them all the healing and telling them this and that, and none of it matters if internally or subconsciously they don't want to change. So it doesn't really matter. They have to want it.
As I said, there are victims, people who feel that it's not their fault. It's everybody else's fault. I can't help them. But if they acknowledge the fact that they at least want to give it a try, I'm going to change that word try. We're going to do it. You want to continue? Fine. The ball is in your court.
Okay, you just said some interesting stuff, and I know you're an NLP practitioner, so you're neuro linguistic
And friends of Tony's.
and friends of Tony Robbins, who I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast. And, you know, when I was 18 years old, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm sure like many 18-year-olds, really. And so I picked up this book called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And
Yeah.
man, it blew my mind. And as an 18-year-old kid, it really shifted who I was at the time. And he talks a lot about the NLP practices, such as what you just said, changing your words. And I remember just, you know, people would say, hey, you know, Joel, how are you doing? And, you know, it's very normal for us to say, oh, I'm just okay, or yeah, it's whatever day.
Right.
And
Hmm.
he said, no, cut that out. Like every time someone asks you how you're doing, you're like, it's great. My day's amazing. Thank you for asking. And what he was saying is words are powerful, like you're saying. And by just shifting the way I spoke, it changed my state, my being, my energy, who I was. And so I've always carried that into my life right now. But I'm wondering for you, besides that, I don't know much more about NLP. Is it just changing the way we speak and altering language? Is there anything else to NLP that people should know about?
Well, basically, the brain is the computer of the body. So how you talk and what you say can either help you heal or make you feel worse. And using the ifs and the maybes, you're playing with something that is not going to be on your team unless you change the way you talk.
What's one of the most common things you hear from people when you're coaching them and working with them? Is it maybe? Is it maybe I'll do this, or I'll try?
I'll
I'll try.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try. Well, you just keep trying because you've given yourself an excuse not to do it.
Yeah, I agree. One of my favorite things to do with clients is something that I picked up from, I'm sure everybody's done this, but Jack Canfield. And he talks about like, go ahead and try to pick up that glass of water. Like, just try it. Try to do it. See what happens. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just going to pick it up. It's like, exactly. That's the whole point, right? Is that nobody tries to pick up a glass of water. They either do it or they don't. And it's the same thing for us. But sometimes
Well,
when
that's
our
where
goals,
that's
yeah.
where the I am comes in. And Tony was very influential with a lot of his teaching, but I also went for my master's. And it was the soul is in a body. So my whole life has become different.
Talk to us about that. How has it been different? Like Tony obviously gave you some great tools and tactics, but it seems like this master's in spiritual psychology really unpacked some things and brought you to different levels of consciousness, maybe that you never thought about before.
Well, I was not that conscious, although my son Richard, who talked to you first, my youngest son, they are both very spiritual. And we get to talk about the soul. And I include a lot of that in my learning. And it takes a long time for somebody who was born in 1929 to reframe their language and I mean, everything when I was born was right and wrong, mean or not mean. You were a good girl or you were a bad girl. There was no sexual relationships until you were married. It was a totally different world. I was on Times Square during VJ Day. So you know the history that I've lived through.
Yeah.
And I slip once in a while, I do admit. And I have my two spiritual sons on my back when I do.
Nice. I wanted to talk to you. Go ahead. Did you have anything else you were going to say? I wanted to talk to you about bending spoons.
Oh, Richard,
I hear that you can
I'll
bend
show you.
spoons, and I'm, I've heard of people doing this, but it seems just crazy to me. And how did you pick this
Thank
up?
you,
And
darling.
was
How do you do?
how did you pick this up? And explain maybe to people. I think you're going to tell me just the power of the mind, but it's mind blowing to me.
It is power of the mind. Yes. You see, I personally did that. I went to a class where this is what we did.
Now, Eileen, what is it? Now, do I Google a bending spoon class? Like, where do people learn
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
And tell me more
yeah.
about this.
How do you bend spoons?
Now, but walk people through that because one could say, "Oh, that's a really cool party trick that Eileen can do," but obviously there's something going on there, and talk to people about maybe how you learned that, and then just how you think about explaining that to somebody else, and by showing us really the power of our mind. I think most of us would say you're crazy, and we're so limited to what we don't know. And I would really just be curious, yeah, what was it like bending your first spoon?
Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I was there with a friend, and she was able to do it. Not as many as I did, but she was able to do it. And she happens to be a psychologist, so we have the same thoughts, different schooling, but the mind is power if you use it positively. If you blame other people, as I say, then you're a victim. You're not going to change because it's never your fault.
If How long does it? I'm so curious about this. We won't spend too much time, but how long? If I Joel want to learn how to bend spoons, how long will it take me to learn this technique? How long could it take? Could I learn it in like an afternoon, or if I had a spoon right now, could you walk me through it and say, Joel, you can bend the spoon right now? It's just you just need to focus on it. How does that work?
How open your mind is how often it can happen. If you say, as I've said before, well, I'll try, not going to happen. You go through breathing exercises. You center yourself. You focus yourself. And you take all that power into your vision with positive energy. How do people walk on hot coals? I did twice with Tony.
I would think. I'm just guessing they do it really fast, so that they don't stay on that surface area of heat for too long. Otherwise, you're dead. You stop, you're dead. That's my guess.
Right, right. Mhm. I did one locally. I live in Brentwood area, and in Santa Monica, uh, Tony had set up a firewalk. It was a comparatively short one, and I did get a little tiny burn because they had a photographer at the foot where I was getting off, and I was distracted. So that enforced my knowledge of saying and being at the same time. Cool Morse is what he taught us to say. Now, I did 40 feet when I went to Tony's. I think it was the original time that he did a 2-week program, and it was in Palm Springs. And we walked on more, we went down slides. I have pictures of me on a 50-foot pole, telephone pole, strapped. And I jumped off. Not happily, but I jumped off. And of course, the harness caught me. So here's a woman who had polio, pneumonia, ear surgery, you name it, all kinds of stuff. And in between my visits, because of my fibromyalgia, I went and did all these crazy things because that was what I needed to encourage myself to trust my brain if I give it the messages they need. Because I often say I have two brains, and if one got lost, the other would be lonesome.
I'm wondering, everything you're saying, it resonates. Do you, everything that you know now and being 94 years old, do you believe in God, or is it source energy, or is it quantum? What do you think? Just because
Well, I
you dove
did
deep into
believe
this.
in God when I was growing up. I was raised Jewish. I did go to temple. I did have my boys bar mitzvah. But when I went to school, I realized that we are a soul in a body. It took me a while to acknowledge it, but now I often say, I give gratitude for what I had and what I still have. And the gratitude mostly is that I have this most incredible family. They are bright, they are loving, they're givers also. And that makes me so proud and so happy. My eldest grandson is now at, he's at college. And that's like absolutely fabulous. And from there on, I've got them way down to little tykes.
Nice.
And I have sons that are very, very caring. And the nicest thing about it is that they like each other.
That's something to be grateful for sure.
I lost my husband 8 years ago. And whether Richard, who happens to be using his computer, he wouldn't let me be alone. And so he dragged me on a trip. I can't believe that more families are not as close as mine. Because it's not the most difficult thing in the world.
You know what I've learned is it's a practice, it's a skill. It's just like anything else. And I think a lot of us, we spend so much time, including myself, spending so much time in all these other activities and chasing achievement and success that sometimes that love and connection that is so key is something that gets pushed to the side or something we forget. And just like going to the gym or, working on your business or working on your mental health, it's another thing that you need to put focus and intention into. Otherwise, just like any of those things, they don't develop. So that's what I see being a huge rift for many
The
families and broken
mind,
families.
as I keep repeating, is the computer of the body. And until I was able to learn, and I still mess up once in a while, when the stress gets a little too much for me. But I can't water ski anymore. I can't snow ski anymore. I can't climb mountains anymore. I can't, and I shouldn't, because I probably wouldn't be here. But I'm blessed with not looking haggard like a 94-year-old. So that's very nice when people say, "Oh, you're really 94?" I said, "I don't know anybody that's fakely 94."
Yeah. I'm wondering, in everything you've learned and now being 94 years old and just, I mean, everything you've accomplished from NLP and being a mom and everything you've learned, the master's degree, everything. Is there a skill you look back at and you wish you had developed a little bit earlier?
Oh, of course. I I would have loved to have had a doctorate.
So
Yes.
your master's in spiritual psychology was one of the most profound things you've done, it sounds like.
Well, in 1970, oh, yeah, in 70, when was I bar mitzvahed with Kiara?
You were 73, I think.
Yeah, it was 73 when I had my bar mitzvah with my granddaughter. My eldest son's daughter was born on my birthday.
Wow.
How about that? So in 73, I was bar mitzvah, and she said to her father, because she was already 16, and she said to her father, "Well, I'll do it if Grandma will." She was sure I wouldn't. I don't think she ever wanted to talk to me again, but we did it. And then after that, Richard said, "Mom, you've got to go to this school. I've heard so many wonderful things about it." Next thing I know, it's 2 years and I've got my master's.
Wow. What's a surprising piece of knowledge that you think not many people know about, but they should?
I think that most people that I talk to are not aware of the words that allow for failure. "Well, I'll try to do it. It sounds good." I said, it's not sounding good enough because there's no alternative other than I am.
Eileen, on that note, that I am phrase is so powerful. And a lot of people do affirmations and things like that
Right,
to affirm what you're saying. Is
right.
that a practice that you do on a regular basis? And if so, what's one of the biggest things, an affirmation that you constantly are repeating? If you do them, what's something that you repeat to yourself? And, everyone I know is chasing, they want to manifest wealth. I
Mm.
am rich. I am wealthy. What affirmations do
I
you use
am
if you do?
so grateful that I have such an incredible family. I am so fortunate to still be here. I wish my husband would be alongside me, but that's not what's happening. So I take the gratitude for myself and to my family. I don't see them too much because one whole group live quite a distance, and I'm not happy sleeping over at other people's houses. He's laughing. My son is next to me because he's making me make a promise that I will make an effort to do it.
That you will do it. We're going
I
on
am,
we're going on a trip soon, right, Mom?
of
To go
course.
visit your great grandkids.
There we go. There you
Because
go.
family
You're
and
affirming it.
community is so incredibly important.
I am very fortunate.
Tell them about your diet.
Thank you. The other issue is what I put in my stomach. Aside from my insulin, diet is extremely important. There are things that are too sugary, that are too salty, that are too spicy. Not for everybody, but particularly for a diabetic. And so I don't eat anything that is high sugar, anything. In fact, most of my foods are organic because I've read too much about what they put into the soil to increase their crops.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, and I eat on a schedule of taking my insulin. So it's after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner that I put the food in me after I've tested. And if my sugars are low enough, I can treat myself to a candy bar. No, a chocolate. Dark, dark chocolate. Organic.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. And another thing,
Yeah,
as I'm looking and you're smiling and he's chuckling, I'm thinking one other item is extremely important: humor.
Mm.
Laughter is a vitamin.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, you've mastered a ton of things in your life. It's very clear to me. What are you still learning?
What am I still learning? To acknowledge my soul,
Mm.
to meditate, to, of course, give my gratitude, which I do. I'm learning that I'm human and I do make a mistake from time to time. And it's necessary for me to accept all the deaths in my family of people relatives that are younger than me. My sister passed away when she was 66. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, what am I
Wow.
learning? That I'm not perfect.
That's a good lesson for all of us to remind ourselves. So even at 94, we might still not be perfect, even though many of us, including myself, are chasing it and wanting to be perfect. And it causes so much tension and anxiety.
What is perfection?
Yeah, I mean, a great point. It's a subjective standard that we have created in our own internal mind of what we think it should be. But exactly to your point,
Right.
what is it? It's nothing really.
Well, we want to eliminate mistakes from our life.
Good luck, right?
Yeah.
Eileen, here's a question for you. I don't know if you get this often, but even just with the vocal cord and being diabetic, and I know you believe in the way you speak to yourself and you speak to yourselves. Do you ever find even just saying that I am diabetic? Do you even find just saying that, or I have fibromyalgia? Do you find that to be problematic? Because now you're identifying or labeling that I am, or do you know what I mean? Or in your head, are you saying, yeah, this is just a label that a doctor said about me, but I'm in perfect health every day and I feel amazing. My body is healing itself. How do you distinguish between the two?
I acknowledge that I'm not healthy in every sense of the word, but I acknowledge the fact that I am able to at least talk, comprehend, make decisions, That to me, it doesn't happen to everybody that I know. They're in dementia. They're here as bodies, but they're not here with their souls.
Yep.
And I watched my husband pass away. And the thing that was so awe-striking for me was he started to reach up to the ceiling in our bedroom. And Richard was with us at the time, and he said, "Dad, what are you reaching for?" And my husband said, "For Sam. Sam is my father." Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So as more and more things happen, I'm more aware.
Yeah. Wow. Other than going on your podcast tour and inspiring the world with everything that you know, what other exciting projects are you working on right now?
Well, right now, I'm sort of just left with ping pong.
And basketball.
And my son Richard put a little basketball in our service porch.
A hoop.
It's just a hoop. That's a ritual. Sometimes I win, but the thing is, they give me a benefit. I can get a little closer.
Good.
So
That's awesome.
I've had a tooth pulled. I don't need to put another tooth in. I mean, it's just different things
Yeah.
that evolve as you start to, your body just slows down. Fortunately, I'm not obese. I never was. So thank God I'm still not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not embarrassed to put a little bit of makeup on and say how old I am.
Yeah.
There's
I
some people I know that don't want to admit it.
yeah. I want to wrap things up and just ask you some final round questions that I have for you. If that's all right, and then we'll direct people where they can find you and connect with you and learn more about all the amazing things you're up to. Other than ping pong, basketball, your gratitude practice that you're doing daily, is there any other rituals that you do on a daily basis? I mean, I'm guessing you do like cold plunges in the morning at 4 a.m. Like what kind of things are you doing?
You're funny. I, I like to laugh. And I am very grateful to all of the things that my grandchildren send me about their children. So that's one of the rituals that I beg for. And they're very compliant. The other ritual is exercise. It's not always the same, but exercise.
Really, really amazing to just sit down with you and pick your brain. You know, I feel so grateful just to connect with you, someone
Are
of
you
your age.
finding a brain?
And, you know, seeing, I mean, it's really interesting to see what high performers like yourself do. And it's no wonder that you're living such a vibrant life. Whereas, you know, some of the top practices and things you do are gratitude practice. You work out, you exercise, you move your body, and you eat healthy. Go figure. These are all things. Oh, and you pay attention to the way you speak and how you talk to yourself. And it's no wonder that you're thriving and living such a high vibrational life. So really just amazing. And thank you for spending time and just chatting with me. This was great. Eileen, tell everybody where they can find you, learn more about you, connect with you, and just learn more about everything that you're up to.
Not your email. People want to connect with you.
E Greene with an E 321 at AOL.com.
There you go, guys. If you want to connect with Eileen and learn more about everything that she's up to and how to live a vibrant, amazing life, then check out that email. I'll put it in the show notes as well for you, Eileen. Eileen, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you. You've been a delight, and I wish you health, happiness, and all good things.
Thank you.